Ooh, would you look at that? That appears to be block number 10 from the Peek into Batik series. I'm super excited to show you how to make this today. Let's get started. That's right, number 10. Number 10, we are doing block number 10 today, Peek into Batik. Welcome to Making It Fun, everybody. I am your host, Rob Appell from Michael Miller Fabrics. I am tickled you are here. No, really, this is going to be super fun today. And if you're brand new to our block of the month, our sew along, welcome. If you've been here for all of the blocks, welcome back. You're doing terrific. Quick public service announcement. In the description below, you will find these wonderful free patterns. They're also over on our blog called Making It Fun as well. That's from Michael Miller Fabrics. And so the free patterns are called Peek into Batik. We're doing one a month. We are on block 10, and you can get instructions here for both our piecing instructions, like we're going to do today, rotary cutting style, or you can also use the awesome AccuQuilt instructions and their block system as well, and they're fantastic, and they all line back up and work together if you've started with one and finishing with the other. If you've got a buddy, maybe you're borrowing somebody's AccuQuilt system. I don't know, you know me, I'm just being goofy. So of course, we have been doing block after block. We're using my favorite basics from Michael Miller. So primarily the hash dot. We have the turquoise and the meadow and the mustard. And then I also have our whirlpool color of our marble texture here. This is just fantastic as well. And our jet black. Construction is super simple, but do take a moment and bounce into that description. Like I said, grab yourself a free pattern, and we're just going to follow this along. So I'm just going to slide it right there so I can still see it as well as work through it. So yes, like I said, we're going to go ahead and make two of these blocks. Are going to be identical. So we'll have two with this blue base, two with this green base. And I'm going to walk you through them as we get started. I'll make both of them with you today. The big squares, as you see, you'll need two of the green, two of the blue. Those are 4.5 inch by 4.5 inch. That is the definition of a square if you're also new to quilting geometry here. So you have two of each of those colors. I'm trying to be silly, but trying to give you the information as well. Now we have different number counts, but these little squares here are all going to be 2.5 inches. So you will need 2 from the green, you will need 4 from the black, and you will need 6 from the gold to complete our little squares like we're going to do. And on the blue one, we're going to basically need just one of the large squares. Again, those are 4.5 by 4.5. And then just following the instructions, I'm going to need one of the green, one of the black, and one of the orange of the 2.5 inch squares. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with our green in this upper corner here, the upper left-hand corner, right sides together. And you can see I've already drawn a diagonal line across there with the Sharpie marker. That's going to be our stitch line as I come over here, and I'm just going to drop my foot and my needle right on that drawn line there and sew right across. So once that one's done, because I'm not worried about saving these small little parts for other projects, I'm going to safely, carefully, but also free without a ruler, just trim off the edge, trim off this corner here like that, right? Leaving that part, and then I'm going to hold up this green corner in the air as I lay my iron right on top of it, and I'm just going to press over into the smaller of the two squares now, just making life easy. Okay, so now from this end right here, we're going to go ahead and put our orange next to our green in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, so this basically becomes your starting color, and then we'll sew on both sides. So first is our orange up here. And we'll do the same. Freestyle, carefully trim off the edge, then go to the iron. Now go ahead and prepare to put the black on the other opposite corner from the orange or next to the green. And I used my chalk pencil there to put that line on there, or I was finding that the little Sharpie marker was a bit hard to see there. Okay, let's get this stitched on. And I'll finally trim that off, get all of those little scrap parts and pieces out of the way as I press this over. And let's get on to that other color. I'll show you how to do it there. I'm going to walk you through how to do this one now using the green base. So again, starting from the middle, you're going to grab another one of your gold pieces. Make sure you're laying them right sides together, of course. Stitch across that line. So the first add is a gold. Second add is a gold. It's going to go over here down that upper right-hand corner. Whoops, right sides together. I thought that looked a little odd there. Trim this off, again, carefully, and now we're going to get ready to put on our last piece, which will be one of the black squares. And so you can see we kind of have different numbers of blocks being used, and that's why we had a different little block count there, the 2, the 4, and the 6. Line that up so it goes on appropriately. All right, so then again, that's our last little trim there. Put those somewhere safe on the floor for later. Okay, and now that I have two matching, right, two of each one, I'm just going to follow those little 3 boxes at the bottom of your pattern there, and I'm just going to build our center square. So we're going to start with one of the ones with the blue, and basically the blue arrow points out that way with the green tip in, and then the other one comes right on the opposite corner there. Okay, and then we're going to also rotate these here so that I have an orange in the center, and then the black touches out here. Orange in the center, black, so you get the black, orange around the side, the green, orange checkerboard there on the interior, and now life's going to be super easy. We're just going to go ahead and sew these 2 seams together, then those 2 seams. You can actually do one and then the other real quick. Just make sure you know which portions of the squares we're supposed to match up. Having a bit of a panic moment. You can maybe see that in me. We'll find out here in a second. So now that those squares have become rectangles, let's iron them out. Have a little look. So let's say I'm pressing with the blue down into the green, and do that same thing again with the blue down and into the green, because remember they're on opposite sides of each other, and that way our seams will kind of crisscross or nest, making life super easy. Okay, and remember it was green and gold in the center, black, orange around the outside. So that's the union I'm looking for. Lay those over. Match up those nested seams. Oh, that is a nice trick, Rob. Thank you very much. Okay, so now you've got a couple other stitch points you can use, or seam points you can use to match up as you go through. Take your time, 1/4 inch. Now I'm just using an edge guide on that. And then every time I go over one seam union, I look for the next one so that I'm lined up. Helps keeps things nice and tidy as I'm sewing. And that's one of the reasons I love these sew-alongs or block of the months, is you actually learn a lot of skills, a lot of cool design elements as you go along. We're just going to press any of the one sides, and our square is all complete. Really simple, really easy, but a very fun and cool center construction there, correct? And if you've been watching, let's bounce over to the design wall here for a second. If you'll notice all of the blocks, right? All of the blocks, they're basically forming, there's our centers, all the centers are different. There's a star border that goes all around all the outsides of them that kind of bring them into a larger star block unit. So it's the same as you've seen in the other videos, but I know a lot of you are brand new, so I'm just going to walk you through as we do. And basically those borders are going to be utilizing a couple of different parts and pieces. You're going to need 4 black or cornerstones from your background fabric. I'm using the black over there. So these are 4.5-inch squares. You need 4 of those per unit. You need 8 more 4.5-inch squares of your star color. And then I've got 4 rectangles that are 4.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And we're making basically this first, also known as a flying goose, or these and several are flying geese, I guess. So you're going to make one of those real simple. I'll show you how in a second. And then once those are built out, to make them bigger, that's where we add on those squares. So basically I've got a lot of the work done. So I'm just going to walk you through one more border piece. Super simple, super easy. And I'm going to start with one of those large 8.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles. And I've also already drawn the line on the back of these 4.5 by 4.5 inch squares. So I'm going to start with one of those, and I'm just lining up the 3 outside edges there so I can sew across that line. And just like before, we're going to put that needle right in that drawn line today. Let your machine do all the work, sew all the way across. And then like before, we're going to trim before we press. But this time, because I've been saving these squares, these will finish up into a nice finished 3.5-inch half square triangle. So now I'm actually using the seam line that I just did and my ruler, so I'm making sure I have a nice 1/4 inch. Again, I guess I could have stitched it already, but I've just been stashing these under my machine, and then every time I finish a block sewing, I do go ahead and finish putting all those together at the end. And I've been promising I'm going to make something cool for all of you with it. And if you haven't seen before, there's a really cool trick I learned from a friend of mine named Jennifer Carlton Bailey, or Jen Carlton Bailey. She does really cool patchwork, tiny little curves and stuff, but she showed me how to use Instagram to take pictures on my design wall. So I did a video a while back using those little squares to do some really cool how to lay out using your cell phone for multiplicity. So you can make a couple of blocks into a big quilt really quick, visually, digitally, virtually in this world that we live in. Okay, back to work, kids. Let's go. Stop messing around, would you? Now I've got a rectangle that has a single triangle now on it. So we're going to put the other triangle and we want to form a V. And so in order to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and rotate my square that had the drawn line on it until you see that line come up and come right back down. And I'm just going to go ahead and get those really tidy, and I'm going to come over here and stitch them together. Again, sewing on that drawn line. One more time with the ruler to control my nice edge so that I can sew those together again later. Beautiful. And now I'm just going to press this over, and I'm going to stitch on one of those black or background fabric 4.5-inch squares to each of the sides, just like that. So flop one over, and now I'm going to sew one on. I'm not even going to leave the machine. I'll sew the other on and then head over to the ironing board. And when I get there, I'll go ahead and press from the center out in both directions. So from the rectangle into the squares, helping to nest the seams for later. And then what we're going to do is we're going to build ourselves our star. So you bring our block right back in here. Make sure that all of our edges are pointing outward, like you see now, to form our star. Okay, and then we're going to put the short edges on before we put on the long edges. So I just line that up. I'm going to line up that center seam there, make sure everything stays accurate. And again, a 1/4 inch now with my edge guide. And now with both of the short edges on, I'm actually going to press in to the block this time, because on the long edges, we push those corners out. So that same exact reason, we're just nesting our seams, making our patchwork process all the more precise, because it's just nice. It works that way. Very good. And you heard me getting caught up on my words a little bit there, but what I was really trying to say is that it's only as important as you want it to be. Some of us are striving to get better and better with our precision in our patchwork. Some of us are just trying to finish the thing. You know what I'm saying? So at any rate, take it at what level. I just like to offer tips that will help you if you're trying to improve your skill set while enjoying the creative process of sewing. Okay, put these long edges on, again, matching up those seam allowances, making life super easy, and we are almost done, kids. Okay, and I've got those long sides on now. Let me take a second and just press it so you can see how awesome it's turned out today. And now I'm just pressing away from center, just pressing those outside edges out. And awesome. Oh my gosh. I've been having so much fun. I mean, SEW, so much fun with this. But you can see it's awesome. It's easy. Great construction. You can see the other blocks up on the wall. We've got the free printable instructions for both the piecing and or the accu cutting in that description below. So help yourself to some free patterns, enjoy, share the love of quilting, maybe even work on this project with a friend or something like that. But remember, we are super excited you're here. We will see you very soon with another edition of the Block of the Month for the Peek into Batik. Until then, a bunch of other fantastic videos and tutorials coming your way right here at Making It Fun. Until then, stay safe, happy sewing, and adios, amigos. I am out of here. What? Are you actually still here? That's fantastic. Make sure you check out some more of my other fabulous content right here on YouTube. I think it's terrific. Please subscribe while you're there and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss another moment of the fun.